Okay, so we've talked about the work breakdown structure, so let's get into Dynamics AX and demonstrate it. What we'll specifically be doing is creating a work breakdown structure, and we'll just define the timeline around a few tasks, and then we'll set some estimated amounts as well on these different tasks. And then once we have our work breakdown structure built out, we'll go in and we'll log some labor towards the WBS. And then once we have that completed, we'll go in and take a look at that work breakdown structure and show you how the actuals or the consumed actuals are showing within the different views of the work breakdown structure compared to what we planned. All right, so we're going to set up a work breakdown structure, and our scenario is we're going to set up since this is a consulting company, we'll be the lead consultant on helping one of our customers set up collections within Dynamics AX. So we'll build out the new project and define the work breakdown structure, which defines what tasks we're going to accomplish. And since we're focusing in on a simple work breakdown structure, we'll keep it very simple. And just a note, I'm going to skip around some of the scheduling functionality within the work breakdown structure, just due to the fact that in a subsequent module we're going to talk about resource management specifically, and that's where we'll hit on those different scheduling options within the work breakdown structure. So the first thing we'll do is create a new project, and we'll do so, and we'll just give it the project type, time, and material, and we'll collections implementation, and then we'll give it a project group, and we'll just use our simple project group that we created earlier, and we'll do this for city manufacturing, and we'll create the project. So now we have a project created, and basically we're going to define the work breakdown structure around this project. So I'm not even going to change the stage of my project, because in a created state you can create the work breakdown structure. So in order to get to the WBS for a specific project, you go to the project's details, or actually on the previous form, the all projects list, you can just go to the plan tab as well, but it's on the plan tab, and then the group activities you can go to work breakdown structure. So within here, basically this is where you build out the scope of your project, or the project plan, whatever you want to call it, and you can see that there's already a line that's added, that's always added, and it's got the task number, which is the same number as your project ID. So project 141 is our project ID, and within here now you can start building out the different tasks that are needed within this project. So I'll just build some out real quick. And the first thing to note is when you jump into this form, there's this auto scheduling button, and basically it defaults to auto scheduling turned on, and what that means is when you define the effort that goes into a specific task, it's going to try and automatically define the start and end date. So if you do not want that functionality, you better come in here and turn this off right away. And then there's a few other buttons that we'll talk about downstream here in a little bit. So I'm going to create a new task, and we'll say the first thing that we do, or that we're planning on doing for the plan of this project, is to analyze some of the business requirements around what the customer wants around their collections process. So our task is we'll analyze our analysis. And the person that we want doing that, or I guess that we don't think that's a category of PM, that's just my default category. We'll say that that's the consulting category. And where this is important is the estimated cost and revenue. If you have costs and a sales price associated with this category, that's what's going to be defined in the cost and revenue tab. So this is going to be a quick project. We're expecting a couple days worth of analysis, so a couple days on site, so we'll say just 16 hours. And you can see when I type in that effort of 16 hours, it automatically said, all right, well, 16 hours is going to equate to 2 days, so the 28th and the 29th, and the duration is 2 days, and the number of resources is 1. If I bump this up to 2, you can see how the effort just instantly revised, because basically you assign a calendar that tells the system how many hours are in a working day, and in our case it's going to be 8 hours. So if I assign 2 resources, that means that we have 16 hours of capacity per day, and it would basically mean that we can get this analysis done in 1 day. But I'm just going to keep this simple, so we'll just go 1 resource, and that's going to take them 2 days of analysis. This is what I'm going to skip around to some of the scheduling stuff, but you can basically define a role for the specific task, and I could say that it's, yeah, we need a business analyst type person to understand their requirements, and then you can reserve a resource as well. And then we have the scheduling status, which shows that it hasn't been staffed, and all 16 hours have not been staffed thus far. Okay, so if we want to add another task, you can just basically hit the new button up top, and you can see there's all kinds of different controls. So if you want to indent this to say that this task is underneath or inside of the analysis task, you can. We'll get into that in the advanced section. But basically our second task is just we're going to design, and I don't want PM, I want consulting again. Whoop, I just jumped back, sorry about that. All right, let's add that task again. We'll say that we design, so it's consulting, and our design work we're expecting roughly a week. So we'll put 40 hours worth of effort, and you can see that it overlaps. So the start date of our project is 3/28. And since it's basically saying that these 2 tasks run in parallel, if you don't want that to happen, you can use this predecessors field. So we can say that the analysis task is WBS ID 1 and the design task is WBS ID 2, but we can't allow design to start until we're done analyzing their business. So we can select number 1 here. You can also type number 1 in there and just hit OK. And once we do that, you can see that the start and end date are automatically affected. And the reason they're automatically affected is because the auto scheduling is turned on. All right, and I'm not going to assign any more roles going forward here. So we'll say that our next task is we are going to construct, meaning configure. All right, and that's going to take us 20 hours. And then we'll have another new task. We'll deploy the solution, and that's after we're done figuring out how we want to construct it. And that's going to take us 10 hours. And then we will support. And we're projecting consulting. I don't know if we're going to do 20 hours worth of support for them after the go live. That's how many hours we're looking at doing. So basically we just defined our project plan and the timeline. So we have these different categories, or I don't want to call them categories, we'll call them activities that we need to define. And if we look at these specific tasks here, and there's a details button. So basically when I click on the details button, you can log notes around each task. You can give it a priority. You can also give it what status it's in, whether it's the default in as not started, but you can put them in process, completed, etc. And then you can say whatever category is assigned to that specific task, you can make it required. Right now it will take any category, and I'll leave it that way. One cool new feature is this note piece of functionality, and it's not necessarily new that you can add notes, but these notes show up when you're trying to fulfill the resources as well. So you could say need an advanced resource here, and then basically whoever's fulfilling the resource requirements can see that note and understand what type of person that you're looking for as well, if you want to leave a specific note. So once you put that note in there as well, you can see there's the note icon that shows up too. Yep, so that's basically it right there. Not much more to talk about at this point in the demonstration. So we have our timeline built out and what the effort is going to be per task. Then the next thing that you can take a look at, and we'll just look at the analysis area here, we have 16 hours worth of work involved. You can look at the estimated costs and revenue as well. It's actually going to show us in a full WBS blowout here. But yeah, so you can see that the analysis task has transaction type defaulted to it of hours, and that's our consulting hours. We can see that it's got a quantity of 16, and then it's pulling in our cost and sales price defaults there to give us, and then it gives the total cost and sales price as well. If you wanted to say, all right, well, it's not just labor that goes into the analysis. There's some expenses that we incur that we bill to the customer. There's also some materials that we consume. You can add specific costs and costs to this specific task. So if you hit the new button, you can say, yep, we're expecting an expense. Here's we'll just say it's a travel expense. Quantity's 1, and it's $100 worth of cost, and we bill the customer out at a markup. So once you add that, now you can see that the total right here for the analysis task increased to include your expenses, and then we have the total up here calculating as well. So I'll just save that.